Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about Karaka Prakaranam. This chapter, Karaka Prakaranam, also called as cases in Sanskrit grammar. After this session, the learner is able to discriminate the vibhaktis and their meaning. Learner able to identify the Karaka from Ayurveda texts like Karanam, Karanam, etc. Learner also able to construct the sentences in Samskrita. Learner able to translate sentences from English to Sanskrita and from Sanskrit to English. Let's begin this topic with the definition of Karaka. क्रिया अन्वयी कारकम यह क्रियया अन्वेति संबंधम प्राप्नोति सह कारकम इत्युच्यते. That means the word in a sentence which denotes a person or thing which gets relation or creates the bond between action word, the word which creates the bond, it itself is Karaka. Let's see more in detail with the example. The example is here, Vaidyaha Vaidyalayam Gacchati. Vaidyaha, Vaidyalayam and Gacchati. There are three words in this sentence. And Gacchati is verb or Kriyapadam. Vaidyaha and Vaidyalayam is Namapadam or noun. So, according to the definition, that word which creates bond with the action word itself is Karaka. So, here Vaidyaha and Vaidyalayam creates bond between Gacchati Kriyapada. That is why here Karakas are represented through Vaidyaha and Vaidyalayam word. Let us see one by one all the Karakas and Vibhaktis so that we can understand more properly this sentence. First, we will see into types of Karakas. There is a shloka which tells about the all types of Karaka, that is, Karta Karma cha Karanam Sampradanam Tathaiva cha Apadanadhikaranam Ityahu Karakani Shat. That means there are 6 types of Karakas. Those are Kartra Karakam, Karma Karakam, Karana Karakam, Sampradana Karakam, Apadana Karakam and Adhikarana Karakam. And these Karakas are actually represented through Vibhaktis. That is why Karakas does not appear separately. It appears or represents through Vibhaktis. That means we cannot see any particular word like Karaka itself. So, the meaning or the context which is Karaka says will be represented through Vibhaktis in any Namapada or noun. Each Karaka actually represents a Vibhakti, and there are actually 7 Vibhaktis but only 6 Karakas, because Shashti Vibhakti does not have any separate Karaka. And one more we have to know that there is a Sambodhana Prathama Vibhakti which actually does not considered as a separate Vibhakti. So, let us see all Karakas and Vibhaktis together. The first or Prathama Karakam is called as Kartra Karakam, which represents Prathama Vibhakti. Dvitiya Karakam or second Karaka is Karma Karakam, it represents Dvitiya Vibhakti. Third Karaka or Tritiya Karakam is Karana Karakam, it represents through Tritiya Vibhakti. Chaturtha Karakam or fourth Karaka is Sampradana Karakam, it represents through Chaturthi Vibhakti. And fifth Karaka, it is called as Apadana Karaka and it represents Panchami Vibhakti. Here Shashti Vibhakti, we can see there is no particular name of Karaka, but in English we use for understanding purpose as genitive. It actually does not have separate Karaka it actually uses this Shashti Vibhakti or 6th Vibhakti is using for the relationship which is here related with the first Karaka or Kartru Karaka. And next is Adhikarana Karaka, which is actually 6th Karaka according to the shloka, and it represents actually 7th Vibhakti or Saptami Vibhakti. And here in any Shabdarupa table we can see Sambodhana Prathama Vibhakti, which is doesn't have separate Karaka, it comes under Prathama Karaka, Kartru Karaka. So these are actually types of Karakas, and now let us see one by one Karakas and we will try to understand the meaning and the usage. So the first Karaka is Kartru Karakam and it represents Prathama Vibhakti. Here there is a sutra that is Pratipadhikartha Linga Parimana Vachana Matre Prathama, which means here Pratipadika represents as, or meaning of the Pratipadika is root of noun or root of Namapada. That means any naming word comes under Pratipadika. Linga means gender, it may be masculine, feminine or neuter, which is called as in Samskrita Pullingaha, Strilingaha and Napumsakalingaha. Parimana means measurement. So those words which is used for measuring purpose. And Vachana is nothing but singular, dual and plural, or in Samskrita Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam and Bahuvachanam. So we know that there is Samskrita we have special Vachana or dual, so two number of persons or things together, which is called as Dvivachanam. So all three comes under Vachana. So whenever those words which represents in a sentence, it may be related to naming word, which also definitely having linga or gender, and definitely having any vachana, either ekavachanam, dvivachanam or bahuvachana. These are all comes under Prathama Karaka, Kartru Karaka, which represent Prathama Vibhakti. One more is there, we have to understand any action when happens or a sentence which says any action and that action is happened or doer of that action, that particular word represents actually Kartru Karaka. That is why it is said as Karta. Karta means doer. And one more is without any action, only if saying as name of a person, thing or place, then it becomes just Pratipadika or noun. So let us see examples for both here. First example is given here, Pachakaha Pachati. Pachakaha Pachati means chef cooks. So chef, a person who actually cooking food. So you can see here Pachati is actually verb or Kriyapada, and the cooking process is done by the chef. That is why doer of this action is Pachakaha. So in this case Pachakaha gets Kartru Karaka, that is why it is in Prathama Vibhakti. And second example is Devadattaha Chikitsakaha. Devadatta is a doctor. So here there is no action is represent or it not mentioned, but it is said as Devadatta is a doctor. So a person is a doctor mentioned as a profession. So here it is only naming word, that is why it is just Pratipadika. So in these both cases these words gets Kartru Karaka, and that is why these words will be in Prathama Vibhakti. And Vachana is depending on the context, if it is singular, dual or plural. Second Karaka is Karma Karaka, and this Karma Karaka is represented through Dvitiya Vibhakti. Here we can see two sutras. One is Karturipsita Tamam Karma and second one is Karmani Dvitiya. So here Kartuhu Ipsita Tamam Karma means doer of the action which he or she or it wants to fulfill that action. So those words which represents to fulfillment of action will get actually Karma Karaka, and second sutra, that is Karmani Dvitiya, that means those words which represents Karma Karaka will be always in Dvitiya Vibhakti. So that's why here Karma Karaka always represented through Dvitiya Vibhakti. Here example is Aham Charanam Sprashami, which means I touch feet. Second one is Devayani Chikitsalayam Gachati. Devayani goes to a hospital. So in this we can see the first sentence in example, that is 3 words are there, and second also we have 3 words. In first is action is touching the feet, and second one is going to hospital. Now as this is the example for Karma Karaka, so we have to see the word which represents the fulfillment of action. The first sentence is Sprashami, means touching action. So the touching feet will be fulfilling. So here feet word, that is Charanam word, actually fulfilling the action of touching. That's why Charanam gets Karma Karaka, and that represents Dvitiya Vibhakti. And second example is going action. So here going action will be fulfilled after going to hospital. That means Chikitsalayam, a word represents the fulfillment of action Gachati. So that's why Chikitsalayam actually gets Karma Karaka, and this represents Dvitiya Vibhakti. That's why this word is in Dvitiya Vibhakti. Let's moving into the third one, that is Karana Karaka. Karana Karaka represents through Tritiya Vibhakti. Here there are 3 sutras, that is Swatantraha Karta, Sadhakatamam Karanam, and Kartru Karanayoho Tritiya. So we have 3 sutras. First one is Swatantraha Karta. So it says that Kartru Shabda or Kartru Pada will be always Swatantraha, always independent. Second one sutra, it says Sadhakatamam Karanam. Karanam means instrument. Sadhakatamam means to fulfill action which helps, or the word which represents to fulfill action, that represents as a tool, that always gets Karana Karaka. It means in a sentence, if any action is going on and that action is fulfilled or finished with the help of some tool, and that word which represents as a tool or instrument gets actually Karana Karaka. And the third one says that Kartru Karanayoho Tritiya. So those word which represents as a tool or instrument and which gets Karana Karaka will be always Tritiya Vibhakti. And one more we have to observe here, Kartru also mentioned as a Tritiya, which means this Karana Karaka or Tritiya Vibhakti also used in Karmani Prayoga. Kartari Prayoga and Karmani Prayoga, there is active voice and passive voice. So in that also it is used. First we will see here about the instrument usage. Example is Saha Parashuna Vriksham Chinatti. He cuts the tree by axe. Aham Chikitsalayam Vahanena Gachami. So I go to a hospital by vehicle. So these 2 sentences, in this we have to concentrate the word which represents as tool or instrument to fulfill action, which helps to fulfill action. So in this sentence you can see, for cutting, the action is here cutting tree, and helping is axe, that is Parashu. So that's why this Parashu Shabda gets Karana Karaka, and that's why this is in Tritiya Vibhakti. In the second sentence we can see action is going and going to hospital. So this reaching hospital is helped with the word Vahana. Vahana means vehicle. So that means the person is reaching with the help of vehicle to the hospital. That's why Vahana Shabda, here Vahana word gets Karana Karaka, and it represents Tritiya Vibhakti. Fourth one is Sampradana Karakam. Sampradana Karakam represents Chaturthi Vibhakti. So here we can see two sutras. One is Karmanayam Abhipreti Sa Sampradanam and second one is Chaturthi Sampradani. Karmanayam Abhipreti Sa Sampradanam, which means that word which actually represents as a receiver or something as received will get Sampradana Karaka. And the word which represents Sampradana Karaka, as per the second sutra, that is Chaturthi Sampradana, it says that word will get in the Chaturthi Vibhakti or it will be in Chaturthi Vibhakti. Let's see one example. First one is Mata Balaya Phalam Dadati, means mother gives a fruit to the boy. So here action is actually giving. So here giving is actually fruit by mother, but person who receives is Bala. Bala means here boy or any child. So here receiver is actually Bala Shabda. So that's why it actually represents Sampradana. So one who receives. Second one example is Aham Kunchikam Yajnadattaya Dadami. So here meaning of this sentence is I gave the key to Yajnadatta. So that means here I give the key to Yajnadatta and I am actually giving, I am doing the giving action and the Yajnadatta is receiver here. So in these two sentences, Bala or Yajnadatta represents actually Sampradana Karaka, that's why it is in Chaturthi Vibhakti. Next, one more sutra is there which represents Sampradana Karaka, that is Namaha Swasti Swaha Swada Alam Vashat Yogacha. That means here we actually, if you split this sutra, we can understand there are group of words, that is Namaha, Swasti, Swaha, Swadha, Alam, Vashat. So these are actually words will be used in ritual text or in ritual any things. There, whenever they use these words in a sentence, before that those words should get actually Chaturthi Vibhakti because they represent Sampradana Karaka. So let's see example here. Dhanvantaraye Namaha. This meaning is salutation or bow down to Dhanvantari as a respect. Second one is Prajabhya Swasti, that means peace or good to be with citizens. So these are here in this sentence you can see Namaha and Swasti is used. So before that word should be Sampradana Karaka or it gets Sampradana, that's why it should be in Chaturthi Vibhakti. That's why this third sutra Namaha Swasti Swaha Swada Alam Vashat Yogacha says that in any sentence whenever if it is Namaha, Swasti, Swaha, Swada, Alam, Vashat, the words are used, then before that word should get Sampradana Karaka and it should be in Chaturthi Vibhakti. Next one is Panchama Karaka or fifth Karaka, that is Apadana Karaka, and it represents Panchami Vibhakti. Sutras are Dhruvamapaye Apadanam and another one is Apadane Panchami. So here Dhruvam Apadaye Apadanam says that Dhruvam means constant, which does not move, it stands always still. So here that word which actually represents as standing still or constant will get Apadana Karaka, and those words which gets Apadana Karaka always represents the Panchami Vibhakti, that is next sutra says Apadane Panchami. Let's see example. Vrikshat Paranam Patati means leaf falls from the tree. So here we can see that there is a tree and there is a leaf, and leaf is moving or falling from tree. Tree doesn't fall, tree is not moving. That means tree actually constant or still. So that's why it gets actually apadana karaka. That's why it is in Panchami Vibhakti. Second sentence is Saha chikitsalayat griham gacchati. He goes home from the hospital. So there is a person who goes from hospital his home. So here he is moving and he is going from his hospital. That means hospital is constant. Hospital is not moving. So this hospital word or chikitsalaya word actually gets apadana karaka. That's why it represents Panchami Vibhakti. Next one is Shashti Vibhakti. It doesn't have any cases and it actually has one sutra called Shashti Sheshi. Here example is Vrikshasya Paranam Devadattasya Chikitsalayaha. Vrikshasya Paranam means tree's leaf. Devadattasya Chikitsalayaha means Devadatta's hospital. So this actually doesn't have separate karaka, but this vibhakti says the relationship between the kartra karaka or in a sentence with the verb or action word. So that's why it doesn't have, because it is related to kartra. And we can see here relationship as Vrikshasya Paranam. So first example says the leaf relation with the tree. So it says that particular tree relation. It is related to particular that tree. In second you can see Devadattasya Chikitsalaya. So here particularly saying that hospital is related to Devadatta, a person. So we can mention this in English when we write a sentence, we use apostrophe s that represents Shashti Vibhakti, Sambandha, relation. Next is actually sixth karaka or Shashtama karaka, Adhikarana karaka, and it represents actually seventh Vibhakti, that is Saptami Vibhakti. We have two sutras here, Adharo Adhikaranam and Saptamyadhikaranecha. Adharaha means base or support. So that word which represents in a sentence as Adhara, base or support, which gets actually Adhikarana karaka. And that word which gets Adhikarana karaka actually will get or represents through Saptami Vibhakti. That's why Saptamyadhikarane sutra says it will be always in Saptami Vibhakti. Let's see the examples. First is Sa Pithe Upavishati. She sits on chair. Second one is Mama Grihe Sugandha Dravyam Asti. So perfume is available at my home. In this sentence we have to concentrate on the Saptami Vibhakti or Adhikarana karaka. So here as per the sutra, the base or support represents Adhikarana karaka. So in this sentence, Sa Pithe Upavishati, here for sitting purpose, chair or any furniture used for sitting is actually Pithaha here. So that Pitha word actually support for sitting purpose. That's why it represents Adhikarana karaka. That's why it is in Saptami Vibhakti. And second sentence here, Mama Grihe Sugandha Dravyam Asti. The perfume which is actually available at my home, in that actually that available at home, that's why the availability or support or adhara or base we can say is griha here. Griha shabda represents here support. Griha means here home. So that's why this is in Saptami Vibhakti. Here one more we can see in Shabda Rupa table. Most of the time we say at the end or sometimes immediately after Prathama Vibhakti. Here this is Sambodhana Prathama Vibhakti, which doesn't have separate karaka and also it doesn't actually having separate identity because it comes under Prathama Vibhakti. This is used for to call someone or to address someone. For example, first we will see the sutra. Sambodhanecha is sutra. So if you remember, the Prathama Vibhakti example, Pachakaha Pachati, in that Pachaka word used, chef cooks. So here if we want to call that chef, we can use the word as He Pachakaha. So He means here the word which we use to denote or call or address someone. Second example, He Devadattaha. So if you want to call Devadatta, we can use He Devadatta. It will be always in Prathama Vibhakti. So this is Sambodhana Prathama Vibhakti. Now let's once recapitulate entire this topic. Karakas are actually bond between Namapada and Kriyapada, or noun and verb. So that's why this is very important to get a meaning in a sentence. And Karakas represents through Vibhaktis, they does not appear separately. So it always represents through Vibhakti, and it has its own meaning, and based on the context Vibhaktis are used. There are 6 Karakas represents through 7 Vibhaktis, because 6th Vibhakti does not have separate Karaka, and 6th Vibhakti is used for relationship between Kartrapada in a sentence. Sambodhana Prathama Vibhakti is considered under first Vibhakti or Prathama Vibhakti. So the entire reason or the topic is used to understand that in any sentence, if we want to understand or if the sentence should get any meaning, then there should be bond between Namapada and Kriyapada. So when Karaka appears through Vibhakti in any Namapada, then it creates the bond, and that's why sentence gets proper meaning as per the context.